And there is baseball tonight, not the TV show. And not, you know what, Nick? Just because there's no baseball right now doesn't mean there's not baseball happening right on this show. Because, damn it, we're going to talk about baseball. There's a lot to talk about, Nick Earnshaw. First off, bud, how's it going?
What's going on, Francisco? Nice to see you, man.
Nice to see you as well. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's good to be here. We're having a lot of fun. We got so much to talk about.
Yes. We did. We have a lot. We no, we do. And you know what's funny? You hit me up. So right, whichever. We hit each other up over the weekend, and we were like, all right, like let's we're trying to do the shift every Sunday, right? We're trying to be consistent here.
Yes.
But as we got closer to the weekend, I looked ahead to the All-Star game, looked ahead to the Derby, looked ahead to the draft, all these things, and that was actually in the reverse order. Look at that. Uh, it didn't really make sense to do a show prior. We're not draft geeks, so we're not going to do a in-depth 2-hour show, for the MLB draft before and after. It's not. We're gonna we're gonna get into some stuff here for sure today, but it made sense to do a shift episode, a full shift episode, a recap of everything that happened. And Nick, that
Everything.
goes to the brains of you. Normally, I wouldn't say you're the guy for that, but you are this time. So congratulations.
Listen, there's so much that happened. So much that has happened over the
Yes.
weekend. There was a lot going on. Had the MLB draft, home run derby, all-star game, just everything happening all at once. Pretty cool stuff. I mean, there's a ton to talk about. We have so much going on, so much to discuss. It's gonna be a fun show for sure. I'm excited about it to dive into all this stuff because I know we got some good stuff to talk about, whether it's the All-Star game, whether it's the
Yes.
Derby, draft, what's coming up in the second half of the season. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start with the All-Star game. Okay. We'll get to the Derby. We'll get to the draft. And then we'll get, of course, we're gonna look ahead to the second half of the season. But since the All-Star game just happened, let's talk about these general takeaways, thoughts. What were your, just how are you feeling? I guess literally what a day after a full day after the game is over. A night where the American League wins once again. It's just what happened in both of our lifetimes. The American League always wins. Obviously, I feel passionately about this because growing up as a kid, just whatever, rooting for the National League as a Phillies fan, could never beat the American League. So it just continues to happen. I think within the National League has won 6 times since 2000. Could be wrong on that stat. It's somewhere close to that. Regardless, it's pretty embarrassing. So Nick, what were your thoughts on the game, the festivities around the game? We'll get to the Derby in a little bit, but what were your thoughts on the game?
It was fine. I mean, it was fine. I can't get over the uniforms. I the just looking at them, it's just an eyesore to me, to be honest. It really is. I can't get over the unis. I think the unis stink. They're brutal. They got to go back to the old, having everyone in their own team's uniform. That's what I want to start with. That has to happen. Go back to the old uniforms. I know Rob Manfred said they're thinking about it. Well, no, don't think about it. Do it. Just do it. I've had enough of it. It looks ridiculous. You don't know who is who. You're trying to grow the game, trying to market players. This is a good idea right here. Paul Skeens out there. You want to know he plays for the Pittsburgh Pirates. You have no idea who he's playing for when he's in that uniform. So that's first of all. That's the thing. That's a glaring issue for the Major League Baseball. They got to get rid of it. However, to start the game, what a matchup we had. Skeens versus Judge. Oh man, you weren't sure if you're gonna get it. Could have been 1, 2, 3 innings. Skeens is done. Goes says hello to Livy. He's out. Bye bye. But you got to see a little bit of Judge versus Skeens, and people wanted to see that. Obviously Judge, what he grounded out, right? So, um, it was a good matchup. It was fun. That's who you want to see. You're there to see the studs against the studs. And listen, I'm so glad he ended up starting the game. I know we talked about it. You got a lot
We
of
talked about it already.
you got a lot of feedback about Paul Skeens starting the All-Star game. So,
I
you
definitely
know,
did.
it is what it is. It is what it is. But you know, it was great to see him start. It was cool to see the Judge Skeens matchup. That was fantastic. Otani hitting the bomb. That was pretty cool. I know the AL won, but they win every year anyway, so that's nothing new. I think they've won 10 out of the last 11 games. So
That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
it's absolutely crazy. And then the Phillies, they had something cool. Every one of their fielders, hitters, Bohm, Turner, Harper, each had a hit. And then you look at the pitchers, none of them gave up a run. Sanchez, Strom, Hoffman, none of them gave up a run. So, and obviously Wheeler and Rangers didn't make the trip due to injuries, but that is where we were at. It was cool stuff. But overall, it was fine. It was cool. I want the uniforms back, and I want it to mean something for the World Series again. And I don't know if that'll ever happen, but hey, we can only wish, right?
Yeah, we can only wish. So I'll give you two takeaways of mine, and then we can get to a third one afterwards. I want to get some of your thoughts on this. So my first one is for sure. I guess we'll just bounce off what you said about the jerseys. Jerseys sucked once again. I actually thought the NL were whatever. They weren't like horrific to me. NL weren't the worst, but also was like okay. They were just fine. Me and my mother were sitting there watching the game. She's like, I like the NL. Like, they're good jerseys are good. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, mom's like, oh yeah, I want the Phillies hat now. I'm like, no, you don't. Relax. They're not. They're fine. Okay. They're okay at best. Don't encourage Rob Manfred. This is what they do. They want the money, and they're taking your money because you want your Phillies hat. Okay. So that's number one. I don't even that wasn't even like that. I don't know. I just wanted to mention that there because my mom pissed me off last night. I went from my point to my mother there, but the National League jerseys were fine. Okay. At best, they were okay. Okay. The American League, I didn't think they were going to be all that bad until I was watching them announce the names, announce everybody that was on the field. I looked at it and I said, man, I remember having that pink Sharpie highlighter. That's what I remember, and that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of a pink Sharpie highlighter, and I was just like, dude, what are we doing? We're coloring the hats, we're coloring the sleeves and the jersey. What are we doing? Embarrassing. Really, really bad, Nick. Really bad on the American League jerseys. I mean, what are your thoughts? Were you okay with the National League jerseys at least?
No, I thought they just both stunk.
They both stunk, but the American League released worse, right?
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I think the American League were bad too. Yeah, I just stop with the uniforms. Wear them during batting practice. Wear them when you're having a catch. Do not wear them during the game when you're getting announced. Remember, I don't know if you are a nerd. So do you watch like when they announce the lineups from years past in All-Star games? Have you rewatched those?
Of course. So you're saying we had a conversation yesterday. I told you I was watching the 99 All-Star game.
Yeah.
I love watching that. It's one of my favorite parts.
Exactly. Like that aura. That's a big word right now. Aura, trendy word. Trendy thing to say right now. The aura of having everyone in their own jersey.
Agreed.
The 6 Phillies players, the 5 Dodgers, Braves, whatever. Like you want to see all those players in their own uniforms. Like stop. Like you could do the hats. The hats are cool. That's fine. Leave the hats. Have a cool design on the hats, all-star hats, whatever. But leave the jersey, pants, the rest of the uniform. Go back to how it was. The Major League Baseball's trying too hard. They're trying too hard right now, and it's not working. Not working.
But I think people are buying the jerseys, though, man.
I know it's a money grab.
That's the problem. I don't think they really care all that much. Like,
here's the thing: you're gonna wear them during batting practice. You're still gonna have the jerseys every year because they can be batting practice jerseys. They wear them during kind of the downtime, during like maybe the home run derby, stuff like that. Why don't stuff that's time to wear it, not during the game.
I agree with you. I don't. Yeah, it's all about the money, and I saw what Manfred said within the last couple of days about they hear it and blah blah blah. I didn't read too much of it. I just really read the quote and that was it. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think next year they're automatically going to go back to it. I mean, it's about a 95% chance. I feel like next year we're going to get different jerseys again. I don't think we're going to get the same jerseys. We'll see. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Again, a 5% chance that what Manfred said gives me like a 5% hoping chance that it might change. So as far as the jerseys go, the American League sucked. National League were fine, but hopefully they go back to it. I need that. I need that. I need that. Need it. So jerseys, number one takeaway. Number two, I'm glad that Jarren Duran won the American League or American League MVP, the All-Star Game MVP, because the kid has not gotten enough respect this year. And I know he's not. It's probably because Gunnar and Judge and Soto and even Stephen Kwan to a certain extent, comes back and he's hitting 350 plus right now. A lot of stars right now. Bobby Witt's really coming into his own. But Jarren Duran is having like a superstar type of year, and he's really breaking out. Again, he doesn't necessarily like wow you with like raw power, can hit like 40 to 50 home runs. He's not stealing bases like Ellie, but he can do everything. I know he's not like a super flashy player, but dude, 5 B WAR this year, man. I mean, he's on pace to having an MVP type of year. He's not going to win MVP, obviously, because of Judge and Gunnar, but he's having a really, really elite type of year with the 5 WAR, leading the majors in triples, leading the American League in doubles, 13 defensive runs saved in the outfield. The guy is all around a really good baseball player, and I'm really glad that he hit that home run look, I won the National League to win, but I'm glad to see Jarren Duran win the All-Star Game MVP, because I think Jarren Duran is having a really, really underrated type of season. A historic franchise like the Red Sox. You think someone like that will get a little more love? I know Rafi Devers, is pretty much the guy there in Boston, but Jarren Duran has really been the guy there this year and supposed to be one of the guys for the future. So what are your thoughts, Nick, on Jarren Duran? All right, you're not reacting too much like with Skeens and Ellie. Maybe I'm attacking your young players. I don't know what it is. Maybe you're taking this personal. I'm sorry. Don't cry. Okay. Go ahead. No. What do you think there, bud?
No. Jarren Duran's had a really, really good year. Like, he has been amazing. First time All-Star he should be in the MVP conversation. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's had a really, really good year overall. I mean, batting 284, 342 on base percentage, 819 OPS. He's with the Red Sox. I mean, might have something to do with it. Like you mentioned, Judge, Gunnar kind of gets overshadowed a little bit what's going on in Boston. Now, what'll happen is I'm looking down the line for you, Francisco, for Duran, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, Netflix is having that behind the scenes show that they're documenting. So you're going to see a lot of Duran in that kind of documentary when it comes out. So I think that might be when he'll kind of get recognized a little more. He'll be more of a household name. You know what I mean? Because having the big year during the filming of it, I'm just saying, like the marketing, Francisco, might be more of a household name when it comes out. You never know. So I think that could be part of it.
I can't wait for the Netflix series. I agree with you, but I don't think it's gonna do it. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
You don't think it's gonna do anything?
I'm being grumpy. I know.
Grumpy Fran.
Yeah, grumpy. Oh, all of a sudden it's the Red Sox though. It's the Red Sox. I don't know. I think it's probably more about Gunnar and Soto and Judge, all in that division, all in the same division.
I'm with you. I'm just saying, but I think he'll get more of his flowers when that comes out. You know what I mean? Like, you'll kind of see everything. Oh, well, this guy putting in an MVP type year. How did we miss this? Like, he'll get more respect, or like nationally, I feel.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think we can agree there. So my last takeaway here. Did you have any more before I give my last one?
No,
anything else?
I'm good. No, you're good. You're good.
Yep. Okay. All right. I'm gonna give some love. I have to respond a little bit here. Okay. Look, if Skeens was gonna start the game, I was pissed that he was only gonna go 1 inning. If you really want to try to replicate the Pedro from '99, All-Star game, because that's what everyone wanted to see. That's what everyone wanted to happen. He might as well have pitched the 2 innings. Maybe it was rigged and he purposely, who did he give up a hit to? He gave him a hit or he walked somebody. He walked Soto. Sorry, he walked Soto. So he walked Soto and then all of his, I was probably rigged. He probably did it on purpose. And then so we can all see him versus Judge. I would have rather have seen him just go against the entirety of the first 1 through 6 rather than, MLB rigging Soto getting walked. Of course, it's Juan Soto, so no one's going to be like, oh, it didn't get rigged because Juan Soto always walks. No, I can see right through Rob Manfred and MLB's little plot here, okay? So, in all seriousness, I was satisfied with Skeens, what I saw. I was excited. I still don't think it was the right thing to do.
Why?
Still not the right thing to do. It's the principle of the All-Star game. If you did, you have to deserve getting in, and he still did not deserve it. Okay. But it was awesome. It was cool. I mean, Skeens is obviously going to be a Hall of Famer. I think we both know. We already had this conversation. It was really cool. Skeens was nasty. It was filthy. The filth was on display. The filth was on display. And it was the most viewed All-Star event this year out of any sport. I just saw that on Fox's Twitter, I think. So it's great. That's great. I hope it does what it does, what baseball fans want it to do for baseball. I don't see my friends texting me saying, who aren't baseball fans, saying, oh, who's Paul Skeens, man? No one's doing that. So, I don't think it's done anything because that's what, obviously, it's what all of you have wanted. So, didn't really do anything. Skeens is nasty. I know my thoughts are all over the place here. So, at the end of the day, as bad as it might sound, I'm happy that we got Skeens in the All-Star game to start because Skeens is exciting. So I know that contradicted everything I just said there. But really, really what stole the show for me, Nick, and it wasn't Ohtani's home run. It wasn't Jarren Duran. It wasn't the Trey Turner, mic'd up, making the play, and Bryce Harper in the pandering and all that. I mean, Mason Miller is one of the nastiest, I think, ever. He might be one of the nastiest ever. I'm ready to proclaim that. Are you okay with that?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, he's ridiculously nasty, but I'm trying to comprehend.
Oh, relax. I want to talk about Mason Miller now.
I never even got a chance to respond to the Skeens thing.
I don't want you to respond.
I'm sitting here. I'm just
Fine,
like,
go.
So were you happy with it or not? I don't know what.
So I know. I'm conflicted. So
okay,
I'm conflicted.
There you go.
I'm conflicted because the part of me just cannot let go that I feel like the All-Star game is about who really deserves to be there. But
he deserved to be.
I don't think so. I still don't think so. No one's been able to convince me of that. I still don't. Because he's not on track to have a full season. You got to have
starts. He didn't have 3 or 4 starts like some other guys. He was 3 or 4 starts.
Yeah, that's a good for a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's like 3 weeks worth of starts. Yeah, absolutely. That matters to me. It does. It just matters. You're on track to 19. Think about
overvaluing that. You're overvaluing it. You're
okay. Well, then we better have the same energy for other guys then, because I'm trying to think of what pitchers got snubbed.
Did George
Kirby get snubbed?
If you have a 2 ERA, you almost have 12 Ks per 9, and you're undefeated. You're putting up numbers like him. Nearly threw a no-hitter. Yeah. Then the guy, whoever it is, deserves to go to.
But I think it's but Nick, I think it's more about like the aura. You want to go back to the aura? It's the aura of Paul Skeens. It was him getting drafted #1 last year. All everyone was talking about was Paul Skeens in college. So it was already starting from there. We all wanted to see him come up immediately. It's just I get it. Like I'm not like it's not like I totally don't understand it. Like I understand the hype around him and the people that are excited and want to see him in every single position, and everyone wants to see him in the playoffs now, probably, right? They won't because it's the Pirates, but it's just like Trout, right? Trout and Ohtani when they were on the Angels. Everyone wanted to see him in the playoffs. We want to see him on the biggest stages. I get it, but I'm just saying when it comes to the All-Star game, I just feel like when I watch and what I've seen over the years, to me, it's just like when I look at guys' numbers, going into an All-Star game, I look at them and I say, oh, he deserves to be there. I just don't think at the end of the year, dude, Paul Skeens is going to have 19 to 20 starts. That's a full start in the majors. At least to me, is like 25.
What does the second half have to do with this? It's a first.
Yeah, but it's what right. But I understand.
Who cares if he has 19 starts? He could get hurt tomorrow. He still was an all-star.
Yeah, but it's about, but you need to have at least a full season played before you get to the All-Star game. You have to deserve to be there. You have to deserve to be on track to, I think you do.
Full season played. You have to be the best.
Why not?
In the first half of the season. That's how you get to the All-Star game. It's what you've done this year for those couple of months. And he was probably the best pitcher.
And he didn't come up until May.
So what?
There's other guys. Christopher Sanchez almost got snubbed, man, because of something like this.
Really?
He'd been up the entire year, and he's had a great year.
Christopher, he's had a great year. Not better than Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens has been better in his 11 starts than Christopher Sanchez.
I understand that. I look at somebody.
There's no argument. There's no argument here.
I just, Nick, I can't get out of my head that years past, everybody that I look at, for the most part, I had to at least have a full
player.
Huh?
He's a unique player. He's unique. He was just drafted last year. He came up right away. He's making history, and you're missing it. You're missing out on the fun. Come to the dark side,
dude. First off, I was watching the Milwaukee Star, but I'm a huge Paul Skeens fan. I'm just talking about.
Are you?
There are principles when it comes to the All-Star game. There are principles.
Yeah.
Like everything has principles.
They're yours, not mine.
It's just like making to me, it's like making the All-Pro team in the NFL. Like you had to have a full season play. I know it's a little different because the All-Star game is midway, but for me, you still have to have a full plate of I don't know, that's not even the correct term, but you get what I'm saying. You have to have a full season played up to that point is what I'm saying. And for him to come up in May, I don't think that's deserving of making the All-Star team. I don't think he should be considered for Rookie of the Year. I think there's guys that are going to play a full season of Major League Baseball.
He missed 1 month.
That's enough. What are you talking about? Trey Turner missed a month. I didn't think he deserved to make the All-Star team.
So wait. You think he shouldn't win Rookie of the Year because he missed a couple of starts?
Okay, so at the end of the year, right?
That's what you're saying.
Listen to me. Shota Imanaga at the end of the year, if he stays healthy, will probably have 30 to 35 starts. He's going to have 10 more starts than Paul Skeens. That is 2 months worth. Well, yeah, right? Is that 2 months worth? Like a month and a half, somewhere around there. Month and a half to 2 months worth. That, to me, is way more deserving than what you're doing in 10 less starts. I don't care who you are, but that's the thing, is because we love Paul Skeens. How do we know Skeens doesn't have a crap and 2 months to end the season?
Well, we don't know that. I'm just saying, if he has a great rest of the year and continues with these numbers and continues to do what he's been doing, he's Rookie of the Year by far. It's not close. It's not close.
Yeah, I don't think so.
He's an all-star.
If he has 19 to 20 starts, no, I don't.
Oh,
no.
Oh, no.
I don't consider him.
I can't wait till this gets clipped.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I wanted to talk about Mason Miller.
I can't wait to clip this. This is going to be great. It's going.
Mason Miller has had a full workload this year. Deserved to be there. One of the nastiest in the game. Huh?
He's a closer.
I don't care. He's in his role. He's doing his role. Fastest pitch in the pitch tracking era. That's since 2008. We're going to round up. 104 miles per hour. The guy is filthy. He showed it in the All-Star game. Was way more excited to see him than Paul Skeens. And Mason Miller is an absolute stud, Nick. Were you as excited?
You just watched Mason Miller all weekend against the Phillies. Why are you excited?
He closed one game.
What are you talking about here? You got to see it. You just
What?
got to see him. You
Dude,
just
I'm a
saw him
Mason
against
Miller
the
fan,
Phillies.
man. I was excited
I
to see him
love
in the
Mason
All-Star game.
Miller. I'm just saying.
I don't think you do.
I
I think
it
you're
was
Paul
great to see
Skeens
Mason
and
Miller. It was really cool. The guy's nasty. The guy's
yeah,
filthy.
you're not. You're
He's
not.
I don't think he gets traded, but that's something for the end of the
Talk
show.
about that later. Hey, you just want to talk about Mason Miller getting traded. Paul Skeens and his 120 innings that he's going to throw this year. So Aaron Nola, well, he'll be doubling those innings.
Workhorse.
Yeah, workhorse. Paul Skeens not a workhorse, obviously. Can't even get through 9. Oh gosh, that was embarrassing. That was really embarrassing that he gave up. His manager was like, "Yo, you get back out there, right?" He said, "It's like, Coach, I've had enough. I can't do it."
Give me a break. He didn't want to go.
Turang,
He wanted to go
Bryce
back out
Turang's
there.
gonna go yard eventually against me.
He wanted to go back out there, and he wanted to go back out
That's
there.
not what
He should have
that's not what I
99
saw.
pitches. He
That's
should have
not
been
what I
back out
saw.
there. That's an organizational.
In all seriousness, as I was watching that, I was like, 99 pitches, they're going to send him back out there, right? And then the broadcast was like, "Oh, well, it looks like Clint Hurdle's not going to send him back out. Clint Hurdle is no longer the manager of the Pirates." Because I forget who the manager of the Pirates is. So we're going with Clint Hurdle. I actually don't know if Clint Hurdle was ever the Pirates manager, was he?
No, Clint Hurdle was.
Yeah, he was, right?
He's the manager now.
Right. Who is it?
Derek Shelton's the manager now.
Oh, who'd you say it was?
Derek Shelton is the manager now.
Okay. Not Ben Shelton, the tennis player. Okay, cool. So, I mean, I wanted to talk about Mason Miller, but you just completely disrespected me. It's okay. It's okay. Let's talk about the home run derby. And actually, I kind of want to tie this in next. So I'm going to be real with you. I didn't watch the home run derby. I watched. Yeah, I had an excuse. In all legitimacy, I was planning on watching it that night. I was planning on it, and then I was working, and then I got called in to do an overnight, and I was like, well, I want to do the overnight, and I was like, great excuse not to watch the derby because I know the derby's gonna be bad. So I didn't watch the derby. Just put that out there. I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched it. Like, I mean, I know what happened. Witt almost came back, and Teoscar Hernandez won it. But it seems like generally I wasn't really missing anything, Nick. So I'm not all that upset. And as I was sitting there at work in the studio, and we had, the TV's right there, I was looking at, I was kind of, because I think they replayed the derby overnight. ESPN did. And I was sitting there watching it for 20 seconds, and they're just pitch after pitch after pitch. And I said, no, this is unwatchable. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm going to go on my laptop on YouTube and watch the highlights, and I'm going to turn it off after 30 seconds because this is unwatchable. I remember the Colorado All-Star game or the home run derby and turning it off after 2 minutes saying, I can't watch this. So I'm sorry, Nick. I will say this. Takeaways from it for me. Obviously, the national anthem was embarrassing. It was one of the worst. On the other side, I hope that the girl, potentially Ingrid Andress, I think is her name, gets help, because if it's true, hopefully this isn't some like marketing plan. I'm not saying it is, but for her saying that, she was drunk and she's entering rehab, if that's true, I'm not saying it's not, but sometimes people do things to cover up things.
Yep.
Especially something like that. Hopefully someone like that wouldn't do that. But hopefully if it is true, that she gets the help and all that. Because honestly, the way I felt after that, I was like, well, if that's true, I don't want to attack this girl anymore. I don't want to do that. I was, laughing about it and all this stuff like everyone else, but I don't want to attack that. So that was my first thing. Second thing, I was impressed with Alec Boehm. I did watch his highlights. I watched his. I know I conveniently and biasedly watched his because you know what? It was more of a narrative thing, Nick. All these people, he's going to hit doubles and he's going to hit gappers and that's all he's going to do. Not knowing that he's a 6'5" guy that can still hit home runs. I've seen him hit moonshots. We both have seen him hit moonshots as Phillies fans. It's batting practice. It's not like it's a game, okay? We're not talking about a game. I did have my Allen Iverson jersey on before, okay? I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling the jersey on my flesh, okay? But what was I saying? Okay, so I'm impressed with Boehm. He had the most homers in the first round. Okay. So those are really my two things, man. Anthem And boom, those are my takeaways. Congratulations to Teoscar. My pick, Adolis Garcia, did not win. A little upset about that. I didn't bet on it, but morally, I'm upset. So, what do you think, Nick? I know you watched it.
I did, and I have complaints about it. I definitely do. It went way too long. It went way too long. The Derby was way too long.
How long
And
was
it's
it?
because, dude, it must have went. So when Alec Boehm got to his second at bat in the semifinals, it was an hour and 45 minutes later. So I guess it was like 2.5, 3 hours. It just felt
Wow,
it
that's long.
dragged
That's really
on.
long. I
It
thought the
was just
Derby was just like an hour and a half.
That's what I'm saying. So here's my thing, right? So they did the 3 minutes, right? 40 pitches, whatever came first. They did that. But then they had the bonus rounds, right? Like right after you did that, like you had a couple more pitches, a couple more outs. They were trying to get the best of both worlds, and it did not work with the outs as well as the timing thing. Because the outs thing, when they did the bonus, the couple of outs after you did your 3 minutes, that just took it just added more time on everything, right? And made everything go much longer than it probably should have. So it was just very long. I don't know if maybe it had too many tests, whatever. It was very long. They need to fix this format. Just go back to how it was. That was ridiculous. How long it lasted. And to have Alec Boehm sitting there for almost 2 hours till he batted again after his first at bat, insane stuff. Insane stuff. Baseball, once again, failed there. Obviously the anthem, another failure. I don't know what the hell is going on with Andrus in what is it, Ingrid Andrus?
Ingrid Andress.
Ingrid
Yeah.
Andrus? Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on there. Someone if they you could tell if someone's drunk or not. They shouldn't have allowed her out there. I mean, or something. I mean, something like that should happen. It's
Right.
ridiculous. So
4-time Grammy winner. So
yeah, so it's totally unprofessional. Hopefully, she gets help. If she actually does need help, her statement was a little wonky. So yeah, I'm very skeptical of the whole situation. It was the worst anthem I've ever heard in my entire life. Worse than Fergie, worse than Roseanne Barr. It was bad. It's up there for sure. Lastly, I want to not lastly, but continuing on. Boehm was fantastic. He had a great performance. It was fun as a Phillies fan to see him go pretty far into the Derby. It stinks. Teoscar Hernandez got him in the swing off. That was pretty fun to watch, though. That was probably the most exciting part. He did lead everyone, 21 home runs. He was tied in the first round, the first part of the Derby. He had 21 home runs. He was the first one up, and it held strong. So that was pretty cool. And everyone kind of doubted him, and he wasn't the favorite at all. He was the dead last. It was 16-1, I believe, to win the Derby. So pretty crazy stuff. He had a good showing. Speaking of the opposite, Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, what a loser. I mean, just an absolute loser. Okay. This guy complained and complained about, if I'll do the home run derby if I get to the All-Star game. If he wasn't in the All-Star game, he probably wouldn't have done the home run derby. Ridiculous.
he's a
And
fraud.
yeah, what an absolute fraudulent move. And then he doesn't even make it out of the first round. Couldn't even get to the semifinals. Total flub by Pete Alonso. Sayonara. Was kind of happy to see, a New York Met go down. That's always fun. It's always fun. And then, it stunk. Gunnar was disappointing too. He was the last one to go. He was a little disappointing. He just couldn't get into that groove. Like you need to do in the home run derbies with how the format's set up. That was a little like I kind of want to see Gunnar get into the next round. But Bobby Witt, that was great. Teoscar Hernandez did put on a show, which is pretty cool. But overall, too long. They got to fix the format because even though it was too long, the idea they were just, pitch after pitch after pitch, kind of rushing it for the 3 minutes. It's just not fun to watch. It's not a good experience at all. So, yeah, I was disappointed with the home run derby overall. Fun to see Boehm in it as being a Philly, but overall, bad job by Major League Baseball overall.
Okay, just to wrap up the All-Star stuff, because it's actually 2 times I've heard this now. So somebody actually, Phil Casey from KYW, great guy. I forget how I brought this up to him, but I brought up to him something about like the Derby and the All Star game and stuff like that. And I remember we were talking one day, and he said to me, "The All Star game and some of these festivities, they aren't the same to you anymore because you're not a kid anymore." So he was the first one to say that to me. Okay, and then I heard it listening to. I think I saw it on my phone here. Listening to, it was the Athletics Wind Up podcast. And that was like the first thing that someone mentioned is that all-star games are for kids. And I disagree with that. I disagree. I just want to, I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, I'm bringing this up to you. I disagree with that. Like the home run derby, like used to literally be better and entertaining. I think anyone at any age can enjoy the home run derby if it's, correctly formatted. Same thing with the dunk contest in the NBA. I think anyone can at any age, like I would love to see a good dunk contest right now. I think the 3-point contest is kind of boring, to be honest with you. MLB All-Star Game used to be better, to be honest, when it meant something. It's gonna be real. Like I honestly kind of miss the All-Star Game when it did mean World Series home field advantage in the World Series, even though I still think that like doesn't really make sense. Honestly, it's not fair for being real. But the All-Star Game was fun because like it actually meant something. People took it seriously. So I think it's weird that because I guess that's when I was a kid was when they were taking it seriously. But I just think it happened to be that way. I don't think it's because I was a kid. I think that's when it was better. But not because I was a kid, just because it was better 15 years ago. And you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know you know. I know you get what I'm saying. NBA All-Star Game used to be a little better too. It was never awesome, but it was better. Like I remember the early 2000s, like they would actually like play defense in the fourth quarter and they would try and all that stuff eventually. And now it sucks. But I think that's because players don't want to get hurt and stuff like that and they back out. So I don't think it's because of this whole kid sentiment. I don't think it is. I don't see that. What do you think? What do you think of that sentiment?
I see. I can see the point there. I do, but I disagree as well. We're in a different time with All-Star games. You look at the NFL. The Pro Bowl is a flag football game now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned that.
NHL's 3v3. NBA, it's not the same, like at all. Like they don't try whatsoever. I think Paul George was just on a podcast saying they had all the older players go into the locker room to tell them to try during the All-Star game, and they did the opposite. They all looked at each other. Paul George said this on a podcast that they did, all Larry Bird, all these throwback stars, right? They literally were told, "Hey, can you guys go out there, give it your all, just give it some effort." And they looked around and said, "Nah, we don't want to do that." Like it's a different mindset now at the All-Star game. Look at the Major League Baseball home run derby. Format's not great. There's nothing really to play for during the All-Star game like there used to be during the time it mattered for home field advantage in the World Series. So I don't think it's a kid thing at this. Like some things, yes, that I could totally see that being the case. In this era right now, in this moment, no, I don't think that's the case. The product sucks across all sports. It stinks. Baseball, I think still is the best out of the four majors for the All-Star game, but it stinks across the board for the most part because the effort's not there. They're too worried about injuries. Formatting's bad, and the lack of effort. So it's across the board. It's not an age thing and growing up thing. I could see the idea of where that comes from.
Agreed.
But right now is a different moment because of what's going on across all. It's not just one league. It's all of them. It's a mindset of each All-Star game and the festivities that go along with it. It's just not the effort's not there anymore for all parties in general. So it's a kind of just a marketing thing now in a sense for the leagues.
Yeah, so I just thought I do think it's an interesting perspective. I never thought about it that way.
No,
I've
thought about it's crossed my mind. I can't say it hasn't crossed my mind with certain things like in life, like music. It could be the sense, right? Like you grow up with your music, like during your certain adolescent years when you're a teenager, you kind of identify with that music as you get older, right?
Right, and you
Like
change
it's
and
not the
yeah.
same as when you were like young.
Right.
So that's kind of the same idea here.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same in this sense because the product's been so bad over the past few years. It's across all sports and everyone's saying it as like at any age. So I kind of disagree with where they're coming from at this point in this moment.
Yeah, Phil, take that. MLB draft, Nick.
Let's do it.
So Travis Bazana. That's how you say his name, right? It's Bazana.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Second baseman out of Oregon State. Looks like he's going to be a stud. Hit 407, 568, 911 with 28 dingers, 16 steals in his junior year with the Oregon State Beavers. So he went number 1 overall. We had Chase Burns, right-handed pitcher out of Wake Forest. He's looking like he's going to be nasty anytime it's a pitcher out of Wake Forest. And he also went to Tennessee, I believe, before that. So, I mean, both those schools just generate guys, right? They generate guys. The SEC just generates guys, right?
Guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who's the pitcher from the Angels that throws like 105. Can't even think of his name right now. They went to Tennessee. He was nasty. He's nasty. He's not all-star nasty, but he's nasty. Anyway, filthy. Anytime guys from the SEC. I mean, Paul Skeens, obviously, Paul Skeens, your guy. Okay. Charlie Condon, outfielder from Georgia, went third to the Rockies. A's, Nick Kurtz, first baseman to the Wake Forest. Another Wake Forest. By the way, this is a trend in the top 10 picks. White Sox went with Hagen Smith, left-handed pitcher out of Arkansas. And then a few more. Jack Caglione, almost the Ohtani of college baseball, honestly, because he just hits bombs and he's a really good pitcher. Well, as well as a 70 grade fastball from the left side, on the mound. So a lot of power at the plate. And he was announced as a two-way player. And when his name was called. So really, really cool. Royals, drafting him. Cardinals, I'm only going to do top 10 here. Cardinals, J.J. Weatherholt, shortstop out of Virginia. 8th overall, Angels, Christian Moore, second baseman out of Tennessee. I mean, the SEC, it's like college football, but college baseball, you know what I'm saying? Pirates, Connor Griffin. This guy's going to be a great player just because of the name. Shortstop out of Jackson Prep, Mississippi. And then Wake Forest, like I said. Another one, Seaver King. This guy's going to be he's going to be a Hall of Famer based on the name. Seaver King, shortstop out of Wake Forest to the Nationals. Nationals looking to replenish this farm system. Look like they're doing a good job. So, Nick, give me a couple names, man. I tried to watch as much of the draft as I could. Didn't really watch day 2. Watched a bit of round 1 though, as much as I could. So, what were your thoughts? Who'd you like?
Yeah, so there's 2 names you mentioned there that went in the top 10 I want to break down for you.
Yes.
And it starts with Charlie Condon, okay? He went to the Colorado Rockies, 3rd overall out of the University of Georgia. This guy, huge pick for the Colorado Rockies. I really love this player. He has got ridiculous power, okay? He's 6'6", 216. He led Division I with 37 home runs last year. That's crazy in college baseball. Crazy stuff. He was the SEC. Speaking of the SEC, Francisco, SEC Player of the Year at Georgia. He's ridiculous, man. So get this. Now, I just named off some crazy stats, right? Like, led D1 in home runs. He led Division I in OPS as well. Batting average. The guy was just, he's an animal. He was a walk-on at Georgia. A walk-on at Georgia. Now putting up these numbers. Nobody wanted him at first. Now everybody wants him. He goes 3rd overall in the draft. According to MLB.com, he has a 70 power ranking. That's out of the grade of 80. That's how much power he has. And for the Colorado Rockies to take this guy and develop him, you need a power hitter like this at Coors Field, right? It just makes too much sense to have him up there with the high elevation. Oh, this is a perfect pick for the Colorado Rockies. They need a superstar coming down the line. Who the hell knows what they're doing right now, building a roster. They need someone like this to develop. He is a star in the making. He's able to continue to develop, utilize that raw power, and translate it to the bigs. It's going to be a scary, scary sight if it continues to go his way in his upward trajectory. Colorado Rockies, Charlie Condon, 3rd overall pick in the draft, a name to continue to watch because of how much power he does have. So Charlie Condon, one name I am very, very excited about from this draft. When he went off the board, I was like, yeah, that's a stud right there, especially since he's in Colorado, a place where you can hit a lot of home runs with the high elevation. Pretty cool stuff there. All right, Royals, got to go to Kansas City and Jack Caglianone, two-way player, right? Like, is he going to be a two-way player? They announced him, and Rob Manfred said, two-way player. He's going to do both. This is a guy who's 6'5", 250. Another guy, 70 power on MLB.com, can hit the baseball. Strikeouts a little worrisome when it comes to Jack Caglianone, but he was fantastic at Florida. If you look at the pitching side of things, he's got a mid-90s fastball, can hit 100 at times as well. His changeup is what can keep hitters off balance. I think he's hitting around 80 miles an hour now with that changeup. It's filthy. It takes the brakes off of hitters. When he has the fastball working, the changeup working, it keeps them off balance. So he can do both. And, we see Shohei Ohtani out there, two-way players, and they make it a comeback. I think they can. Jack Caglianone, I think, can go far with this. He was very good at Florida. Let's see how far he goes into the majors and even the minors with this. So Jack Caglianone, that's another name. Keep an eye on, two-way player. Can he be the next kind of guy to do this who is really, really good at both? Jack and Charlie, man. Those are the two I'm watching.
Jack and Charlie. I like it. I like it a lot. Especially Caglianone, who's good.
Yeah.
He's a lot of people. You can see a lot of clips of him on Twitter throughout the last year or so.
Yeah.
On him in Florida doing his thing. It's bombs. You can also check out, just look up Jack Caglianone with a wood bat on Twitter.
Yep.
You'll find that and him hitting absolute nukes. Just a random field and wherever. My two names, I know I'm going with a little popular ones here in the top 10, but boy, right and left side here, pitching wise. First pitcher off the board, Chase Burns. My gosh. And like I mentioned there, being an SEC guy, Wake Forest, trying to think who else has come out of Wake Forest. Was it what's his face? Well, Leiter and Rocker.
And
they both came out of Wake Forest.
Yeah.
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 I feel like, now I'm thinking about it, I really feel like when I've watched footage of Burns and his stuff, fastball really reminds me. Maybe this is a bad comparison.
Oh no! You're thinking of Vanderbilt. I thought
Why am I thinking of Vanderbilt?
Same college.
Who the hell pitched at Wake Forest? I know there are some big time pitchers that pitched at Wake Forest. I cannot think of who did right now. Maybe I can look after the show. Either way, okay. Now that my mind has kind of wandered towards Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. Windup reminds me a little bit of Jack Leiter, a little bit delivery, just maybe a little bit. Fastball with life really reminds me of Jack Leiter in college. And the energy really reminds me of Kumar Rocker. I mean, I don't know if you've seen him, either on YouTube or Twitter or wherever on TV, Nick. Like Chase Burns, he gets fired up. And that's the type of energy that I need in Major League Baseball. We want to promote the personalities in the game. We want to promote, the excitement and all that. Chase Burns, he gets excited. So really disgusting stuff. Really, I've read that his fastball can hit 101, with life. So I'm excited to see Chase Burns and what he could do with the Cincinnati Reds and their organization, potentially coming up with Andrew Abbott, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, if they can get something going there. I think they have trying to think of who the other kid is in their system, that the name is escaping me right now. I'll come back to it. But either way, what's his face? Chase Burns is easily my number one guy that I'm looking at so far. I'm just really the name is there. Rhett Lauder as well in the Reds organization. He's got some filthy stuff. So Rhett Lauder coming up in that organization as well. So excited to see what Chase Burns can do in the majors. Other one, left side, man, Hagen Smith. Have you seen his stuff, dude? Have you
Yeah.
seen him? Hagen Smith. Filthy stuff out of I think it was is it Arkansas? I think it was Arkansas. Could be wrong. But either way, White Sox added him. He went I believe he went top 5, right? He went fifth overall. Fifth overall. So MLB Pipeline has him as their top ranked pitcher in the class. Says he's a Golden Spikes Award finalist, led all Division One pitchers with batting average against at 144, and set a record of strikeouts per 9, Nick, for 17.3.
Sheesh.
Yeah, we have something. We have something on our hands here with Hagen Smith and Chase Burns. So excited for those two.
Yeah,
So,
those are good ones, man. I went with the hitters. You go with the pitchers, man.
yeah,
I know
that's
you.
what we do.
That's what we do. That's what
we
we
do.
do.
We
I
know what we're
yeah.
doing.
There's a lot of good young talent coming out of this draft. It's gonna be fun to see these guys develop. Who's gonna move in the top ranked prospects, 100. You know me. I want to see the top 30,
Yeah,
the
I
top
know you do.
100. Get
I
these
know you
guys in
do.
the minors
Yeah.
right away ASAP.
Yeah, and you're ready to give up to like 3 of the top 100 for the Phillies to get Mason Miller. So,
Do you want me to start there? That's a good transition by you.
what is that? Where you? What do you mean? Where do you want to start? I mean, you want to introduce it?
Yeah, I will
Go ahead.
start. I will introduce this. So, we want to get into a little bit of what's going to go on in the second half, right? So we wrote down a couple things. You wrote down, I did as well on what we're looking forward to seeing in the second half and stuff, prediction wise, like what's going to happen. I'll start with Mason Wheeler and will he be traded? I've made the prediction. I've said on the record that I don't think he'll be traded. I'm very curious to see what happens. I'm very much looking forward to the trade deadline, specifically for the Mason Miller sweepstakes, because all we've heard is that the A's are asking for a king's ransom, an absolute king's ransom for Mason Miller. Now, are they in the right for that? Yeah, sure, because Mason Miller, like you tried to talk about earlier in the show, guy is nasty.
Yeah, you
Guys
just.
guys
And now, now you get to talk about it. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
So
Mike is muted.
I'm just curious especially since he's a closer. I know there's been talk about turning him into a starter too. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens with him, because is the asking price going to be too much? Because the A's, I mean, it's just the A's are just so poorly run. I just don't get what they're doing. They're giving up a young stud to get a bunch of more young players to build. I mean, I get it, but like, what are we doing here? You have a really good young player. I just, it confuses me, the whole thing. But for Miller, that's something I'm looking forward to seeing here in the second, right? That's one of the things when the deadline hits, like, all right, when we get to 6:00 Eastern time, is Miller still in Oakland A? Because is a contender going to bite the bullet and say, yeah, we'll give up a king's ransom to get him because we want to make a run right now. So if he does get traded, the package, I'm very curious to see what Oakland's able to get back in a potential package.
Yeah.
So I still think he's not going to get traded. If that is real, if that is it's been reported widely across the league, that it's going to be too much, I still don't think he's going to get traded. But never say never. So that's number one for me. One thing I'm looking forward to. Number two, the Aaron Judge home run triple crown stuff, man. Is he going to hit 60 again? Is he going to get the triple crown? As much as I don't want to see a New York Yankee get this again, it's still really cool. I'm a baseball fan. I want to see it. Is it going to happen? I hope he stays healthy. He's been so good this year. Out of this world numbers. Legit legendary stuff from Aaron Judge in the first half. Does it continue on in the second? That is what I'm looking for. Okay? And then number one. It's my last. I just almost shook my computer because of this one. Is Elly De La Cruz going to get 100 steals?
Yeah,
I say yes. I know it's slowed down. The pace is slowed down. He's more on I think pace like 80 something right now. If he's on the pace he continues at. I'm still a believer. I'm still a believer in Elly De La Cruz.
Oh, we know.
My all-star Elly De La Cruz. I'm a believer.
True.
He could get there. He's at 46 steals, I believe, here at the break. He's got to amp it up a little bit to get to 100. He's got to amp it up. The pace has to get stronger. It's slowed down. Let's get him. If he doesn't get to 100, I think he gets. I think he gets the 90. If he doesn't get to 100, if it's too much to ask because of where the pace is at now, 90, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. We're gonna be tracking that here on the shift as the second half goes. I will track. You know what? Every episode I will come with the Ellie stolen base count from here on out. Ellie stolen base count to start the show just to see where we're at and see what the pace is like if we get to 100. All right.
I was gonna say I can just tweet out every time he steals a base. I can do that too.
Hey, we'll do that too.
We'll go
Whatever
47, 48. I'm serious. I'll do
100. It. I get to tweet out 100. Okay.
Okay. All right, buddy.
I call it.
You do your thing. He's gonna end up. By the way, quote me on this. He's gonna end up with 84. That's my number. I'm going with
84.
Not too bad.
Not bad.
Fair. Yeah, he'll get caught stealing like 48.
I'll say 90. I'll say 90.
Okay. Okay, so you're not a believer. Thank you for saying
90. 90.
So you're not a believer.
It's not looking good right now. To say I'm a realist too. It's the pace is slowed down.
Which is it? You believe or you don't believe?
I think it can happen. He's got to pick it up. He's got to pick it up. Dude, the pace is it's slowed like drastically since we last talked about it on the show in depth. It's like it's going to like 80s now. So like it's going to be a stretch. Can he do it? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to happen? I'm losing a little faith there. I'm losing a little faith. As much as I want to see it, I think he'll end up realistically with
90. Okay, that's enough out of you. Okay, so my 3 things to look forward to second half of 2024. I'm gonna go. I know you kind of want Mason Miller. I'm gonna go to trade deadline in general because I really think it's just going to be an exciting trade deadline, especially compared to last year. It was kind of anticlimactic. You had your Verlanders, you had your Scherzer, you had your Jack Flaherty, the Orioles. But really besides that, me mentioning Jack Flaherty, the Orioles, just being the third biggest one last year, speaks to how really that was not an exciting deadline. This year is going to be exciting. This is going to be really exciting. The National League is literally, you got like 3 teams that are a game back in that National League wild card. So, the D-backs are right there, Padres, all those teams, the Cardinals, Mets, like all those teams are just all just fighting for that those second and third spots. So I think that's gonna be exciting. I'm really interested to see where Mason Miller, if he stays, if he goes, where does he go? When he's closing out the World Series this year for the Phillies, that'll be really exciting. Brent Rooker's hitting the walk-off homers in the postseason for the Phils. That'll be great. Vladdy Jr. really, really interested to see what the Blue Jays are going to do. I don't think they do it. I don't think you should do it. But there's been a lot of talk around that. So Vladdy, Mason Miller, Garrett Crochet. I'm just a Garrett Crochet guy. I know. I know he's not necessarily a huge name, but the guy is leading the majors in strikeouts right now. He's made the All-Star team.
Yep.
Leading the league in strikeouts per 9 innings as well. He's doing all that. Guy is nasty with that fastball slider combination. He's nasty. Curious to see where he goes. Dodgers, Yankees, somebody like that. Where does he end up? Really, really intrigued about what this deadline is going to look like in general. Number 2 for me, really curious to see who's going to come out of the American League. National League, I really think it's going to come down to the Phils and Dodgers, and I really don't think the Phils are going to have a problem getting out of the National League, to be honest with you. The Dodgers, the pitching is just suspect for me. They have a superstar injured list of pitchers. You know what I mean? So I just, the pitching concerns me. So not worried about the National League. Worried about American, not worried, but I am interested in the American League. I am curious to see what the Guardians can do because they're doing it with offense and their bullpen. Mainly their bullpen, but big time thing with their offense. The starting pitching hasn't been great. It's been okay at best. So I'm really curious to see Guardians, Orioles. The Orioles should be the favorite. I know you're gonna get upset at me. I just still have to see it with the Orioles. Not saying they're I know. It's just I expected the Astros to come out this year and be good, and the Astros just don't have it. They yes, they have been better, but they just don't have the offense to me. So and I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. The Orioles, I just don't know if I trust yet. Maybe they do it, maybe they don't. Yankees are also interesting because I still think they're somewhat frauds. So I'm really curious to see what three, because I think we can both agree it's those three teams. It's nobody else. Yep. Seattle doesn't have an offense. Their pitching is carrying them. That's not going to be enough for them. It's just not going to happen. Seattle, Houston, like I said, I don't trust. The West is what the Rangers. If the Rangers are out of it, I'm saying the West. Sorry, I'm sorry. The Central, the Guardians. Again, I'm just really curious to see what's happening in the American League. Okay, so lastly, I'm going to say in the American League here, I just want to talk about how, like, obviously the National League has a lot of talent, but there's just so much going on with, like, the American League talent and, like, a lot of young talent too. The Judge going for the 60. I mean, Judge is it's Barry Bonds, you know, from the right side in New York. It's really fun right now what Judge is on pace to do, and you know, knock on wood, he stays healthy and he's able to potentially get the 60 again. Because, I mean, for a guy to do that this day and age, you know, it's really, really hard to do. I know Sosa, McGuire, and you know, all those guys were doing it back then, but we're seeing that with Judge right now. So Judge, Gunnar Henderson. I mean, Gunnar Henderson's really coming into his own. If it wasn't for Aaron Judge, Gunnar Henderson, we'd be talking about him, you know, really being one of the faces of baseball. Kind of already are, but you know, it's just, you know, it's a little tougher when you got Judge and Soto there in New York. So Gunnar's just having an unbelievable year. Steven Kwan, I mean, the guy is hitting 350 plus right now. And by the way, he's a 512 slugging percentage. I don't think people are talking about that enough. The guy is having a really, really good year. I mean, we knew he was a contact guy, you know, coming out in his rookie year, but hitting 350 plus now. Steven Kwan is really fun. Jarren Duran, like I've already mentioned, I already talked about him in the first segment. I'm not going to really talk about him anymore. He's really fun. Bobby Witt is really having a coming out party this season. And again, somebody we'd be talking about more if it wasn't for like a Judge or a Soto or even a Gunnar. So Bobby Witt just does everything, and he'd 100% be up for MVP if it wasn't for, you know, Judge or Gunnar or, you know, either of those guys right there. So, I mean, Bobby Witt's having an awesome season. And then Juan Soto too. We already know what Juan Soto is doing there in New York. So Nick, I'm really, really impressed with what we're seeing in the American League as far as position players go. Not that I'm not impressed with the pitching, especially what that Seattle rotation is doing, and Tarik Skubal, what he's been able to do for Detroit, and you know, nationally with Ohtani, obviously, and Bryce Harper, hopefully being able to stay healthy. But the American League, man, just stacked with those top 10 guys in WAR. It's just like, it's really exciting. So I'm really intrigued, Nick, to see, I guess what the point I was trying to make here was like, I'm really curious to see what type of numbers they end up with at the end of the year. And we're looking back saying like, oh my God, these guys had like amazing years. And it's all guys that could be considered for the MVP, but it's kind of a log jam there with, you know, Aaron Judge is kind of peeping his head out there with on pace to have another insane year. So,
yeah, it's going to be a fun second half to say the least. I mean, there's so many storylines heading into the playoffs. Like trade deadline's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. That's going to reshape kind of everything and how we're going to view going in to October, man. There's so much going on. The Judge stuff, Mason Miller, Gunnar, like they're all the storylines we've talked about. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun second half. I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
I love it. So for Ellie, that was a bad outro. I'm sorry. That was a really bad outro. I know.
Come on.
I know. You couldn't even laugh there. You could leave me in dust like that. You
I
stood there like,
you.
what are you doing? Like
I was like,
you had no
I didn't know where you were going with it.
Yeah, you know, I was having too many Millers during the show, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
It's a smoothie, relax.
Drinking on the job.
Not that it would matter. Not that it would really matter. Yeah, we try to keep professional here on the shift, though. You know what I'm saying? We do try to keep professional somewhat.
We do.
You know? All right. For Nick Earnshaw, I am Francisco Rojas. This has been The Shift, episode 60. By the way, we're going to be at Cooperstown in like 4 days. So make sure that you're tuned in for that. We're going to probably try and be live for that show. We'll have all of those specifics coming up for you this week as we get closer to Cooperstown and the fraud Joe Mauer, the real Adrian Beltre, the borderline Todd Helton, the Coors Effect, and Jim Leland all get inducted. There will be tears shed. You know what I'm saying? There will be tears shed at Cooperstown for the right and wrong reasons. That's all, baby. The Shift. We'll see you guys soon.